Sometimes it's worth distinguishing between your regular run-of-the-mill status quo overlords and the fascist oligarchy. A lot of the time, I see content that paints both political parties, specifically the elites that run them, not the rank and file, as basically one and the same, two heads of the duopoly with barely any differences. I can understand that sentiment and why people feel that way. I myself have been guilty of it as well. But in this video, I'd like to argue that there are differences, radical and substantial ones, and those differences are worth exploring in a video topic. Starting with the oligarchy, run by the current president and the billionaires close to him, these elites are often radicals that put the pursuit of profit and capital above all else, to the point of damaging the country and its very social fabric. They'll cut health care, destroy workers' labor rights and unions, and go full fascist, if necessary, to remain in power despite unpopular policies. They'll deny and obscure climate change and environmental science in the pursuit of more profit. They'll conduct international policy unilaterally, without or even sometimes against our allies, and in doing so weaken our soft power and influence as a nation among a community of other nations. It'd be one thing if the oligarchy just did these things that destroy the country, but perhaps the most damning indictment of all, they don't believe in the foundational American value of democracy as a whole. Their upper echelon has on many occasions shown a willingness to deny election results, tried to forego free and fair elections with various tactics, and to act outright authoritarian by wielding powers specifically delegated to Congress or ignoring court order rulings that prohibit certain actions. Your average status quo overlord, on the other hand, while leaving a lot to be desired admittedly, are saints compared to the oligarchy. They are stewards of the country and of the status quo. They often won't make big changes, but they do increase access to health care and support labor and the common man at times. They believe in climate change and will join or even lead in efforts that promote a sustainable future or limit pollution. They believe in multilateralism and working with our allies and other countries to resolve international issues. Most importantly, they believe in democracy and are receptive to change, though you often have to fight them for it. Don't get me wrong, they'll use underhanded tactics like we've seen in the past with superdelegates or coalescing around a single candidate, but they aren't trying to end or fix elections altogether. I try not to be an overly partisan guy, but some of the stuff we've been seeing happen makes that nearly impossible. Kamala, for all her faults, would have never cut Medicaid by $800 billion, including her own supporters' Medicaid. She wouldn't have woke up one morning and tariffed the whole world. Biden at least made sure TCE, an industrial toxic carcinogen found in up to 30% of our drinking water supplies, stayed banned. The present administration unbanned it. I could go on, but the point is these status quo stewards are still capitalists. They're just not obsessive. The other side, the oligarchy, are willing to let industrial byproducts go unregulated and poison whole chunks of the drinking water supply. They'll engage in unilateral wars of aggression for profit or destroy the planet's biohabitat to make another buck. This is capitalism taken to an unhealthy extreme, and I can't pretend both are merely two sides of the same coin. Now, all this is not to say the status quo stewards are blameless for the present predicament. They've lost their roots from the New Deal era and don't do enough for the working class. Despite administration after administration, no one ever dealt with income inequality. They never revamped the social contract or realigned workers' earnings with their productivity. What we got instead was corporate media ignoring people's pain, or worse, criticizing them. What I mean by corporate media is no one being able to make rent and the TV saying the economy's great, unemployment's only 5%. Everybody being paycheck to paycheck, and you just hear, they're a basket of deplorables for wanting to try something new. That dissonance between the hardship you feel in your day-to-day life and what's said on TV or by politicians can make you feel unheard or ignored, People continue to despair over their circumstances, and eventually you get a Trump figure who actually acknowledges, hey, you're right, things are hard, but gives a fake solution in the form of demonizing immigrants. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say the present Trump administration is now perhaps the greatest threat to democracy America has ever faced. The administration is lawless. The destruction of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Department of Education, and multiple Social Security offices were all illegal. The administration uses fake news rather than corporate media. The 2020 election being stolen is fake. The Epstein files not existing or being a Democrat hoax is outright fake. ICE is practically a paramilitary that wears masks to hide their face and regularly breaks the law. With that all being said, now is not the time to give in to despair. We must ignore the cynicism that says this is what humanity has always been, that we just needed an excuse. It is precisely in our darker moments when we must have the fortitude to persist and protect those who would be vulnerable to this regime's excesses. It was our obsession with the status quo that brought us to the moment we find ourselves in now. And the thing is, this wasn't poor policy design or bad choices. These are smart people. They knew ignoring the plight of the people could lead to more radical elements rising. Not all the rich and powerful want things to be this way. We can see it in the differences of policy choices made among leaders. And we can see how some of them aren't, obsessive. I'm sure it can feel unhealthy and toxic to know your fellow citizen out there is going hungry or homeless. It won't be easy, but we should aspire to get back to a politics of community in this country, to the point where you can be black or white or even rich or working class and still believe we are one community fighting and wanting the best for each other. I disagree with the cynicism on humanity and human nature. I'll paraphrase something I heard someone else say. The world is beautiful, but it's only as beautiful as you make it. The way I see it then is there is a choice to make. We could tinker around the edges, pussyfoot around, and maybe get a participation trophy. Or we can go as hard as we can and see if we can't make this country as beautiful a place as we all know it can be. Many thanks for watching.